Thank you for clicking on this video. Let me ask you this before we begin. What's the point? Why did you? This isn't a rhetorical question, you probably have an answer. Maybe the topic is interesting, maybe you're a fan of me. Or maybe you're not sure yourself. Maybe there are a few small incentives, but nothing coherent. I had high hopes for Dreadout 2. The generational shift between the first game and this one implies just the level of polish and upscaling that the format really needed to hit home. A couple more mechanics and a couple fewer technical limitations should have gone a long way. You can probably tell by the context that something went a little wrong. Dreadout 2, although a fine enough experience, didn't really impress me. So, what went wrong? Is the series salvageable? What's the deal with Dreadout 2? I don't really know how to start this. Let's just rip the band-aid off. The core problem I have with the game is that it lacks coherent direction. Not an unheard of weakness, but a very, very clear one in this title in specific. It's like the game design wants it to be open world, but it's actually just a linear experience with some side content. It's like the design wants it to be a lot more fast-paced, a lot more involved and intense. But at the same time, I'm made to search through dozens of empty hotel rooms for something. Gameplay, I guess. This game is the physical, digital representation of walking into the kitchen and forgetting why you're there. It's like they're trying to build a house with only blueprints for each separate room. It leaves some holes. It's not all bad though. I think the game is a lot more visually appealing. Art direction, not graphics. It's an Unreal Engine game with a realistic art style. It was never going to look technically impressive. Except for the gore. I actually really like the look of the gore. You know it's a bad sign when your corpses are more appealing than your people. I should mention the locales too, but to get there, how about we just start from the top? Actually, kind of a wonder I finished the game, given my experience with the prologue. It's not more impressive. The bug per minute ratio was probably higher than Unreleased Cyberpunk. Even had to restart because my outfit somehow changed and blocked my view. I streamed the playthrough, so I legitimately thought it was developer trolling for a little while. What the? The fame is going to my head, man. In reality, it was probably a plugged-in controller that broke the entire game. Yeah, that doesn't make it much better, does it? And I mean, even without scuff, it was a pretty unfun level. You go back and forth across the same stretch a few times. But basically, the whole school is open, so you end up wandering around like an unapproving grandfather at a wedding. They do this cool influencer gag at the end, though. It establishes a lot and breaks the rules somewhat. They just don't do anything else with it. Fun while it lasted, I guess. Which comes handy, because the boss that followed was literally one of the worst ones in the game. They don't do anything with the possession gimmick, other than having you wait for it to leave the host and pray that your camera decides to work. Okay, nice prologue. Now, on to the real game. Wait, this isn't scary. I have such an irrational problem with how they do this title card. We've just set the mood to be a nice day out on the town. That's not what this game is about. Like, at all. Just have it immediately after the boss instead. Make it feel triumphant and moody. Like how Metal Gear Solid does it. MGS came out 22 years before this game, by the way. Holy shit. The vibe itself isn't what I have a problem with. I actually like the dynamic it creates. Linda is pretty brutally bullied by her classmates. Even the teachers are afraid of her after she alone came back alive from the events of the first game. And also because dangerous ghosts consistently haunt her. They invade her school, entire city. I mean, no place is safe for her. This paints a really drab hopelessness, which is a really intriguing trait and one that's easy to empathize with. It makes you root for her. I mean, this alone was a huge reason for me even wanting to finish the game. With that in mind, these day segments, although menial, do dangle a sense of danger in front of you, and I like that dynamic. This is the little respite that Linda gets. Breathe it in. Here's another thing that may well seem like nitpicking, but it actually shows up pretty often and consistently sours my experience. Maybe that's because the game is so short to begin with that each moment like this has more weight. That statue isn't enough for me to go on my first time here. It isn't. And this isn't exactly an intuitive hub world. Don't get me wrong, I like it. It's quaint and grounding, but I can't at a glance tell where to go, where places lead. What I'm trying to say is, getting a little lost was really common, in a lot of places. On top of this, there's no great way to get around. The sprint is less than a second long. It's probably just supposed to be used to dodge and weave, not travel. But like, there's only the scooters to dodge here. Can I die? Sure can. Can't the sprint be infinite when you're just wandering around? I find it interesting because I often have a high tolerance for passive stretches like these. but they bother me in this game. The phrase has been said many times by many YouTube reviewers, but I genuinely don't think they playtested this. It feels like padding without purpose. We could have used this to get to know Linda, to humanize her character, especially seeing as the game expands on her already. Some considerable changes are made to the gameplay in this entry too, namely an introduction of an entirely new mode of sorts. The first is what we know, the camera mode. It's Dreadout. The second one is more of a hack and slash combat mode. Hack and slash? Don't say it like that. Disgusting. You disgust me. The second mode is more of a hack and slash combat mode, where Linda fights back against the ghosts and ghouls with real weapons. Axes, knives, it depends on the exact level, and they all have their own animations and unique feels to them. In this mode, the phone gets relegated to a stun, that gives you a Dark Souls-like riposte. There are some things to say about this, so let's start with the positive. First, this is innovative. It's a possible evolution of the format, and that alone makes it refreshing, novel. I really like the aesthetic of it too, I can't lie. It's grungy and dirty, Linda gets more and more bloody, and the execution animations remind you that she's just some girl with a knife. It controls okay. Moving is tight and swinging is committal, although a little janky. The mode feels like more of a struggle, while the other one feels deliberate, strategic. Well, at least it's supposed to be. They're actually both just different ways of fighting ghosts, which is so weird. This is one of my major problems with the game. The gameplay doesn't know what it wants. It lacks direction. Let me put it like this. It's like bringing a pickaxe and a sledgehammer to a demolition job. They'll both break walls, but one will feel a little more intuitive and a little more effective. In such a hypothetical setting, it would make you wonder why you even brought the pickaxe in the first place, right? The only thing I could think about when in the camera mode was wondering how long it would take before I picked up a weapon, because there were no interesting puzzles involving the camera. No perspective, reflection, visibility gimmick, really. It was just a fighting tool, but in a different way. Now, if this wasn't the case, if we were trying to dig a tunnel too, then yeah, the pickaxe would probably have felt useful. I think they tried to make the camera sections more moody. There's a forest level that's really relaxing and refreshing. It's honestly a lovely walk, but I legit think that's the only standout mood for this mode. Tension is attempted, to various degrees of success, in the combat mode too. Like, I just don't get the purpose of it. Part of the problem is also that the game is really short. Each mode is desperately vying to be appreciated, and since both are forcibly put into the same game, that gets hard. You have to ask the question, why? Why even make a separate mode, let alone include them both? What if there was an exploration state and a combat state that Linda dynamically entered throughout? So you can have both like camera puzzles and axe combat at the same time? Could even give her a longer sprint than the non-combat state. But I guess with this level design, it's just better to keep it combat focused. Or maybe. I think they've got some work to do on that too. The enemy design amounts to walking hitboxes with varying pools of health. You'll either just hit them or just photograph them. There is one that explodes too, to be fair. And some bosses do have some spice, like salt and pepper. Sometimes there are actually 2 hitboxes walking at you. Sometimes it does a special attack. The last 2 bosses and the first Dark Linda are the only ones that weren't particularly blank slates. There's this giant who you have to stun when he's low, and the final boss breaks your phone. This way you can't flash the tendrils that follow you away. Does this look fun? Does it look like I have agency whatsoever? Because I didn't. I beat it by just swinging and praying at the end. There's no room for strategy. Even Dark Linda... that fucking name. Even Dark Linda was boring. You just hit her and strafe. Listen, a boss that you just hit isn't automatically a bad boss. There can be a lot of nuance in how you hit them, when, and so on. These bosses were completely bland. One very surface level string of inputs is all you have to repeat for the few minutes you fight each one. Actually, this goes for the regular enemies too. Just spamming stun will, guaranteed, win you every fight. Just taking a photo and backing up will kill every ghost. Okay, I get it. Combat bad. What about the rest? What, you mean puzzles? Environmental obstacles? Because as I said that just now, you saw, on video, all of them. All puzzles are like these ones. This is the only obstacle. Oh, maybe you meant fetch quests? Take this item you find to this other thing that you already found? Oh, you mean the fetch quest? Where you have to get a specific coffee packet out of like the 20 scattered around the area? take it back to first boil it, then hand it in to see if it's the right one, with the only hint being on the correct packet? That you just have to fucking find? That one? Unlucky, I have nothing to say about that. Oh, yeah, I was gonna say something about locales. Some of the environments are fantastic, like the last corridor to the boss. The hospital was pretty fascinating, I'm not gonna lie. Walking down that forest trail was legit spiritually refreshing. Sadly, I feel like that's all I can say on environments. It's just not more than that. It's a support, not a carry, if you catch my drift. I'm about to sound like a parent, but I'm passionate because I wanted to like this game. I like the dread it set up in the early game. I like the idea and aesthetic of the combat mode. I love expanding on Linda as a character, but this game has such a hard time delivering on any of these intrigues. And it's because they rarely ever pull in one unanimous direction. I don't think the vision was clear enough, frankly, passionate enough. Maybe this is a very disrespectful and mean-spirited thing to say, but I legit just don't think they tried hard enough. It worked long enough to make this game good. Obviously, I'm saying that because I choose to believe that the devs can make something better and that this is complacency. And, well, I'll only have to wait one more year to be able to answer that. They announced Dreadout 3 while I was working on the Keepers of the Dark video, and they say explicitly in their promotions, I was gonna say, like, pronouns or premonitions? How, like, bro, come on. They say explicitly in their promotions that it's gonna go back to horror and stay in Unreal. No more combat. Fine, just please, do your best, digital happiness. Direction is what leads a project at its core. It should encompass the essence of a project and should, importantly, be shared among the ones on the project to varying degrees of particularity. Direction is where the project is headed, so when you lose sight of it, that lack can manifest itself all over the place, in every crevice and every idea, massively or subtly. This game might be one of the clearest cases of the consequences of lacking direction that I've ever experienced. And that's the tragedy. The deal with Dreadout 2. It's not aggressively bad or totally devoid of good ideas. It's that those ideas rarely feel like they're serving a purpose in the greater whole. The game ends up just barely avoiding being less than the sum of its part to be. That's really not a feat. What stings the most isn't the failure, it's the wasted potential. There's hope in my heart for Dreadout 3, but only time can tell if it's warranted. If you don't feel like subscribing, then maybe I'll see you then. Bye bye.